You know what time it is. It's grudgeoning time, because the avatar of rage that is Snorri Whitebeard has returned from the grave, and he's looking for his old buddy Malekith. They parted on good terms, but the Witch King turned Oathbreaker, and if there's one thing the Dwarfs cannot abide, it is betrayal. Dark Elves, Dawi, the Chaos Waste, and a Grudge Match for the ages as the White Dwarf and the Dark Lord do battle in the shadow of the Ancestor Gods. They have wronged us! So yeah, it's a fun matchup. A lot of elite infantry here. Executioners, Morganbling's Ironbreakers, even got an engineer with the Fire Ring of Thori. And in the blue corner is Glorious Feeder and the Dwarfs. In the vanguard are the Ironbreaker ROR in their crimson red armor. Immune to Psych, huge HP pool, and I believe the highest melee defense of any unit in the game at 82. They are absolute tanks, but they can suffer versus the magical and AP output the Dark Elves can bring to bear. Risky but calculated pick, they can last way longer than any other Dwarf infantry unit against Executioners. Got Santa Grudge for pinning chariots and monsters with that flash bomb, and in the rear, some interesting picks. Master Engineer with ballistics calibration to buff up the Iron Drakes and Gobblobber, and the Fiery Ring of Thori. So he has a bunch of ways to impact this battle, especially with that Red Tiger camo bear at 50 he's lugging around. Gobblobber will do a good job of causing some panic in the Dark Elves ranks. Got some artillery and rangers to bait him in, Iron Drakes, Dwarf Warriors, and Miners out front. And Grom is just going to wait near that front line to pop down a smoke bomb and start smacking stuff as the Thunderers and Trollhammers start shooting. Chillwind going to slow down the Rangers at the start of the match, and these Executioners are Dwarf Blender Lords. They are absolutely brutal, especially when Murderous Prowess pops. There are few Dwarf infantry that can go toe-to-toe with them. And there's Malekith with Power from Darkness, Soul Stealer, and Chillwind, and he is scary when he's on that Cold Wind Chariot. He's just a Dwarf counter through and through. So there are 3 Executioners, bunch of Bleak Swords, Cold Wind Chariots out on each flank, and Harpies and Dark Riders Vanguard deployed in the rear. So as this game gets underway, that Chillwind is going to slow down the Ranger Vanguard play by about 24%. So when they try to escape, it's going to be incredibly difficult. In fact, the Cold Wind Chariots are already closing the gap, and they're in there, in and amongst the Rangers, and they're going to make them real sad. Power from Darkness is going to go down on the Cold Wind Chariots to make Malekith get a bigger Winds of Magic pool. Combine that with Gaze of Malice, and these Rangers are going to get munched on at the start of the game. And not really how you want to see your Rangers get attacked in the early stages here. Really, you want to see them get some good shots into those Executioners or some of the unshielded troops, rack up that damage, but this Vanguard play is just not going to work. That slow from Chillwind was pretty brutal, and these Rangers are going to rout pretty much off the bat. But the Cold Ones smell blood in the water now, and they're kind of like sharks, circling for more prey, and they can overextend, get a bit overzealous when they're looking for all these kills. So, yeah, they're into the Rangers now, but their attack is going to bring them into the fire arc of the Iron Drakes, the Trollhammer Torpedoes, and the Thunderers. And with Flash Bomb lowering their speed by 76%, those Cold Wind Chariots have definitely overextended. They have absolutely no mobility whatsoever, and now they're going to get torn asunder by all that armor-piercing fire, already down to half HP. And Power from Darkness probably didn't help too much on that front either. So you can see the Cold Wind Chariots have both kind of just YOLO'd straight into the teeth of the Dawi defense, and Soul Stealer going to get cast on Grombrindal, who will carry that spell over to hit his Thunderers and his Dwarf Warriors as well, which, I don't know. I guess he's channeling his inner Samwise Gamgee, sharing the load with the rest of his infantry, which means they're all going to take some damage from that spell. And Malekith, when he casts that Soul Stealer, doesn't matter what he hits. In fact, I believe he can whiff the spell completely. He will still always get about 400 HP back. Executioners are going to get right in to the Miners with blasting charges, and this is going to be one of the more lopsided infantry fights in the game. They have no hope whatsoever. They are going to get absolutely dumpstered, trash canned by these two-handed swords, and the Drakes are going to find Dawi flesh and carve it apart. So heads will roll, arms will fly, and the Dawi are going to be hurting after this one. Their front line will break pretty quick, and the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons and the Miners with blasting charges, neither one of them will be able to hold on for particularly long, especially when those Executioners get a full charge bonus off. Dark Riders and the Harpies are coming in from behind, and this is a very well executed Vanguard assault from the rear. Harpies are tying up the Thunderers on the right flank, Harpies are tying up the Thunderers on the left flank, the Dark Riders are into the Trollhammers and the Iron Drakes, and all of that is just tying down all the range stuff immediately. So would have been good to have maybe 1 or 2 units in reserve to block those charges, but it is going to be a problem for the Dawi, because it means that all their range firepower, which is what they need to kill off these executioners, is shut down for the moment. They are tanky though. Harpies will not be able to kill them off very easily. Executioners, on the other hand, though, have already blended past about 2/3 of the health pool for those Dwarf Warriors, and only taken a couple model losses in return, and Murderous Prowess has popped. So wherever the Executioners are in contact, they are going to murderize the Dawi. But the Cold One Chariot play has left a little bit to be desired. Both Cold One Chariots look like they're about to be dead. Malekith is fine. The single entity chariots are probably the best ones you want to have against the Dwarfs because they can't lose models. They can't lose any of their killing power. And more heads are going to roll as Destroyer descends, chops some arms and heads off. So Malekith is having a good time for sure, but the rest of the Cold One Chariots, maybe not so much. And I think that initial attack was a little bit YOLO, smelled blood, went right up the center, and then Grombrindal was waiting for it, and all that armor piercing really hurt him. Norgrimling's Ironbreakers are going to hold on however they can. They're surrounded by Dark Elf infantry, and they're already down to about 1/3 of their health pool left. The Executioners in the middle are getting torn up by Thunderer Fire and by the Iron Drakes as well. And as we've shown off in the past couple months, these Iron Drakes can now rip through armor pretty well. One of my favorite changes in that patch, a couple patches back, was the explosive change that made Iron Drakes actually deal damage to armor finally, because that's something they should have always been able to do. Malekith is still running free and messing stuff up. Got a bit of a blob engaging in the center there, with the Executioners collapsing in from all sides. Iron Drakes tied down by the Harpies, but good focus fire and layered defense from the Dwarfs. Thunderers in the rear firing in, and those Harpies will break and free up those Iron Drakes to unleash some more napalm and hell into the Dark Elves ranks. And the Engineer hasn't been touched at all. You cannot underestimate the power of 5.0 BMG. He can kill like 3 or 4 Executioners every single time he shoots. But it's looking like the French Revolution at this point. Elites from Hargonath dropping the guillotine. So much head, I woke up in Sleepy Hollow, and the majority of the Dwarf infantry is crumbling in the face of all that armor piercing. Executioners are just tailor-made for destroying Dwarfs, and they are making their presence felt here for sure. But the napalm is still spewing forth, still carving through the Black Ark Corsairs, who did finish off the Goblobber, which is running for the hills now, and the Engineer tied down by 2 of their models, and he'll be able to kill them off relatively easily in melee. But once he's free, get him positioned on the flank of some Executioners and watch him go to work. He will rack up those kills so quick, firing in and get a ton of value shooting with that rifle that he has. Over here, Executioners are still dealing with the Norgrimling's Ironbreakers. The Rangers are routing to a combination of Harpies and elite two-handed swordsmen. And I cannot believe those Crimson Guard, the Norgrimling's Ironbreakers, are still alive. This is really pretty incredible considering the kind of DPS that's been sent their way. Like, any other Dwarf infantry unit would have already routed long ago, but that 8,600 HP pool and that 82 melee defense is really just keeping them tanky and survivable and hanging on by a thread. Their leadership also very useful too, but it doesn't look like they can win against the elites from Hargonath. They are going to fall. It's just a question of how long they can hold, and they're holding pretty damn well. Dwarf Warriors are in there, and they might actually win one of their engagements. Malekith is still rolling around on that Pimp Chariot, messing stuff up, and looks like he's going to go for Grombrindal soon if he can. He can cycle charge him pretty well when Flash Bomb is down, but if he commits at the wrong time, Grombrindal, 500 weapon strength, majority of that armor piercing, yeah, he'll hurt him pretty bad. So this grudge match, it might come down to a Malekith versus Grombrindal duel. In that case, it might be bad for Malekith, because Grombrindal, he has the tools to deal with him for sure. Ironbreakers are on their last legs, about to crumble. Iron Drake's getting yet another amazing volley, and they've gotten so many good kills this game, but they can't escape from Malekith very easily, and he's rolling through with the chariot, and it looks like, wow, even a handful of Executioners managed to finish off what was a relatively healthy unit of Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, and there are only 4 models left, charging forward now heroically. Here comes the Engineer, here comes Grombrindal, and they are gonna drop the hammer. Heads are gonna fly, so are the Executioners themselves, and I think we've got a buddy cop bro moment brewing. Grombrindal and the Master Engineer, they're gonna have to fight back to back against the hordes of screaming Druki that are charging their way. Black Ark Corsairs, Executioners, it's all relatively mid or elite tier infantry that will be trying to murder them. But the question is, can they hold on? The rest of their army is done. There's essentially nothing left for the Dwarfs except for the hero and for the Lord. And Santa Grudge, he's coming for Malekith. He wants revenge. He's so pissed about the War of the Beard, and he should be. It was pretty messed up, man. Fiery Ring of Thori arcing through, gonna kill a few of those two-handed swordsmen. And Grombrindal, well, like I said, he's got 500 weapon strength. He can do real well in this fight. But look, we got a 50 cal BMG, Barrett 50 coming out, and he's gonna get a collateral. Oh yeah, that's a triple, Mom, get the camera. Actually, I think he got 4. He got 4 kills with that shot. And it just ripped through that formation. That's what I'm talking about. When you get him on the flank of elite infantry, let him shoot in. With all that AP on his rifle, he can seriously rack up the damage. So, we've got Flash Bomb going down. That will slow Malekith. Can Grombrindal close in and start smacking him around with that rune axe? Doesn't look like it. The executioners have him surrounded here. He's going to have to focus on the infantry first. But if they can clear these out quickly, as Malekith chill wins some dwarf warriors, or I guess the trollhammers in the back actually, then it looks like we're gonna have a duel essentially between the Witch King and Santa Grudge. Yeah, the trollhammers are done, run over for the umpteenth time this battle. They actually don't take a whole lot of damage to chariot charges because they have so few models and only 1 or 2 will ever get hit at any given time. But we've got the duel coming in now. Grombrindal is pretty low in health, but so is Malekith, and now he's getting plunked into by a rifle from the side. That's a big hitbox. He's not going to miss any of those shots. And the White Dwarf might be able to finally enact vengeance for that horrible betrayal that happened all those moons ago. The Dark Elves have lost all their support, and it looks like there's a handful of executioners coming back in to fight, but they're probably going to rout before they even get there. One smack from Grombrindal will certainly send them running. The Trollhammers came back. Holy crap! 3 of them firing. That'll do some damage to Malekith. He needs to kill them off. Executioners are gone. They didn't want it. They took one look at the anger, the wrath that is encapsulating the White Dwarf and said, no, want none of that action. Flash Bomb goes down. Engineer holds the line, does not get knocked over. And that means Gromby can come in from behind, drop the axe, and that's going to be the battle. Malekith falls, and Grombrindal will enact his vengeance. Really fun one. So, this is not the easiest matchup for the Dwarfs, but they do have some really good tools for killing the Dark Elf single entities and the high value stuff. And what you saw there was pretty much the counter you want to go for when you're fighting against Chariot play. Now, with that said, I don't think the Dark Elves microed their Cold One Chariots incredibly well at the start of that match. I think they just smelled blood and said, I want to kill everything right off the bat, get the entire army tied up and going all crazy. But I think a little bit more patience there would have done wonders, because he went right up the center, got flash bombed on his Cold One Chariot. They took a lot of unnecessary damage and then didn't end up making a massive impact on the game overall, which they normally could. I mean, Cold One Chariots are tailor-made for killing dwarf infantry, but it makes sense because he had a lot of things to micro there. He executed his ambush and his vanguard play very well. He was microing 3 Harpies and the Dark Riders, who all got in on the targets he wanted them to get into. The executioners all got ridiculous kills, except for the one that got 67. I mean, 239 is a huge number, and some of those were probably on the Ironbreakers. Actually, I think the 161 kills were the ones that were fighting the Northernlings Ironbreakers because they have that chevron. But yeah, I mean, those are crazy good kill counts, and Malekith himself, 114 kills, certainly did a lot for the Dark Elves here. But the flash bomb play from Glorious Feeder was very well done, and the Master Engineer was amazing that game. 69 kills, nice, very nice. How much? And he got the Iron Drakes firing into that stuff. He got the Master Engineer buffing up the Grudge Thrower. They got 62 kills, so we didn't focus on it that much that game, but it did a lot for him too. And the Ironbreakers, they held for so long, just long enough to allow the support and for the hero and the Lord to ultimately carry the game and put the nail in the coffin for Malekith and the Dark Elves.